Hello, my friends. Welcome back to another episode of r/NuclearRevenge, where you get to hear stories about people's lives getting obliterated, and often it's well-deserved. This episode's a juicy one, all about cheaters. And I'm not talking school cheating, I'm talking infidelity, because to many, there's nothing more satisfying than a dishonest person in a relationship getting their just desserts. There's 3 incredible stories in this one, and trust me, you'll want to hear them all, especially the second one. I hope you stay for the stories today and subscribe for future videos. Let's dive in. First off, background story. My ex was cheating on me for 2.5 years worth of our 6-year relationship. She lived with her parents on the other side of the state when I moved away for college. I later found out by a mutual close friend of ours who accidentally spilled the beans. My relationship with her was over at that point. Fast forward to about a few months ago, when I was cleaning out the apartment to move again. I found a ton of her stuff, including various bedroom toys, such as harness, restraints, whips, big giant probes, all the good stuff. I put it in a box, intending to get rid of it. I was super resentful of her at this point. Anyway, cue one bad night of drinking and venting to a vengeful girl who hated her guts from day one, and she gives me the idea to ship all of her toys to my ex's address, with the mom and dad's name on the box, with a letter that states exactly what happened, what she did to me, and why I stopped seeing her after 6 years. Didn't think anything of it. Signed off with a, "Your daughter left a few things at my apartment when we broke up. I haven't been able to reach her, and she'll probably want these lovely toys back to use with her new boyfriend, John. She probably misses these toys. She used to love the hours we'd spend in the bedroom with them. The whip and the big black one is her favorite." Oh yeah, side note. Her parents are super conservative Christians, very religious. I can't emphasize very enough, but trust me. Dad received the package Friday, messaged me today saying, "Thanks for making me aware of what my sinful daughter has done to you. Please don't think bad of us. We were unaware this had happened, and the situation has been taken care of." I heard from a friend through Facebook that it turns out taken care of means she was kicked to the curb, kicked out of the house, and entirely excommunicated from her family. Her parents want nothing to do with her and won't speak to her, and that college degree that her parents were paying for, they weren't anymore. She was left homeless and has nowhere to go, and she couldn't move in with the new guy she was seeing because John didn't have the space to take her in. According to her Facebook status, she was desperately looking for a roommate to split rent with, or someone who had an extra room in their house that she could rent. So not only did I get back at her in the simplest and most spiteful way, I never expected a life-altering nuclear revenge that probably ruined her chance at a stable life, and who only knows what will happen here on out. I can only imagine the look on their parents' face when they opened up the box to see that their innocent, pure child was not who they thought she was. And I also wonder if OP cut ties with that mutual close friend who accidentally spilled the beans. Guys, to me, I don't know which person was the worst of the story. The mutual close friend who kept the secret for who knows how long, or the girl who cheated for 2.5 years. Let me know what you guys think, because betrayal on both sides is equally terrible. In college, I met the woman who I thought was the one. We dated for about 2 years and had a big wedding after a 10-month engagement, and her family was pretty well-to-do in a small southern town. We were both continuing our educations, and I was also working to support us. I was pursuing a master's in engineering while she was finishing her doctorate in anthropology. Over the summer, an opportunity came up for her to make some extra money going to Jamaica as a religious aide. I didn't hesitate when she asked me about it. I mean, she was going to get to visit Jamaica and get paid for it. I saw no downside other than missing her being at home for 6 weeks. Little did I know at the time, she had been cheating on me with the professor. He'd hung out with us, smoked my weed, and drank my beer. I considered him a friend. He was the one who arranged the trip for a couple of months, and basically, it was a getaway for them to bang all over the island. I, clueless and happy, went about the weeks while she was gone, taking extra shifts so I could match what she made in our account and surprise her. One of the students from the trip actually seeked me out to clue me in. I didn't believe him until I started looking for evidence on my own. I broke down and checked her text while she was sleeping, and nothing was there. There were a few voice messages, so I decided to listen, and there it was. A message from him saying how exciting it was that I almost caught them. I opened up her laptop and hit the emails after that. It was piles and piles of messages, making fun of me for not knowing, them banging in our bed and laughing about it. There was so much, and I was so heartbroken. Still too hurt to take any action, I was lost. I had no idea what to do, so I sat on it for a couple of weeks and acted as normally as I could. I noticed everything now, and I felt so stupid for not seeing it before. Looking back, there were so many signs, and one stuck out in particular. I noticed that our stash of homemade weed lube was going down, even though we weren't really using it. It was obvious that they were using the fruits of my labor to get off more effectively. This really pissed me off, like Hulk mad. It finally all hit me. I was a goddamn joke to these two, and they were using the lube that I made, and she was cheating on me. In my bed. Our bed. At that point, I no longer hurt. I just wanted to make them hurt. So while she was quote-unquote studying at the library, I made a new batch of lube. I put enough weed in it for it to smell like normal, but I also added some poison ivy that I got. And after refilling the spray bottle we used for application, I waited. A few days go by, and I'm working extra so I can be out of the house more often, and bam, bait taken. That night, after she goes to sleep, my plan goes into action. I sneak her phone away and delete my contact, while replacing his phone number in her phone with mine. I go to bed but can't sleep because it feels like I'm 5 again and tomorrow's Christmas. Dawn arrives and she's in the bathroom getting ready for a shower. Or him, immediately gets a text as soon as she's in there. The text says, "I'm super itchy. Are you okay?" Now is my time. I replied, "Look, I thought it cleared up, but I guess I had a flare-up. I'm sorry, but I've got herpes, and I'm sorry it had to come to light this way, but now I guess you have it too." I heard this bitch squeak in the shower. I'm covering my mouth, damn near losing it. I went on texting her as him, with her totally clueless. I tell her that it's time to end things now. A new semester was about to start, and I kind of have a little crush on another teacher's assistant. I wanted her mad. This is a woman that had never got told no growing up, and never had to deal with rejection, let alone from a balding dude in his 50s with herpes. When she got out of the shower, it was obvious that she'd been crying, but I could see the anger in her eyes. I could see how uncomfortable she was squirming at the table, drinking coffee and mulling the situation over. Another little nudge is what she needed. The reply that I sent to her paragraphs and paragraphs of text, spewing anger and sadness was, "Thanks for the good times, but can you keep this a secret between us? I don't want to ruin my chances with anybody else that we may know." She's flushed with anger now, just seething. She took her keys and headed out the door without even saying goodbye to me. I knew where she was going. I booted up her laptop and set it to reformat, deleting her dissertation and notes pertaining to it before following her to campus. I parked a few lots over and rushed over to his office, where I find her screaming at him for giving her herpes. She was loud. There's lots of people there. Professors, aides, students, other faculty, and I'm dying. He's beyond embarrassed and confused as hell, and she's ugly crying in front of her peers. I'm in heaven. The fallout was apocalyptic. He lost his job due to code of conduct at the university, and we got divorced the following year, because state law was we had to be separated for 1 full year before being granted divorce. I got to keep most of the assets, primarily savings, which was not a ton, but I worked for it. And she never finished her doctorate, and went on to be a perpetually pregnant housewife that sells Herbalife on Facebook, and he teaches high school now. It took a few years for it to all unfold, but watching it was glorious. Oh, what a wonderful revenge. She lost her chances at getting her doctorate and having a great career to joining a frickin' MLM. But don't worry, everyone. Everybody in Herbalife makes millions and retires at 40 years old, right? Everybody knows that. So maybe it'll work out for her in the end. Probably not, but who knows? Now, when I first met my husband, he was ideal. He was what I thought I needed. I believed I loved him and that the fairy tale was real. We met by random chance, both many hours away from our homes, me while running away from a situation at home, and he while on a trip abroad. I ended up in Europe within a month, and we married about 10 months later. All good, right? Well, it was. Until I started racking up multiple university degrees with honors, and he began to realize that I was younger, more attractive, and now significantly better educated. He was always a bit insecure, but the degrees seemed to really push him over the edge. While I was waiting for my spousal visa, things were falling apart. We both kind of gave up, but decided to resolve to save our relationship. I moved and found that nothing he promised to prepare had happened. The home situation was a mess. We were living with his widower father, and he was meant to be taking care of him in the household. None of this was happening. Instead, both him and his disgusting sister were essentially living as leeches off of their 80-something father. I tried to make things work, but within a week and a half of me landing, he threw an iPad at my head and punched a hole in the wall right next to my head while screaming that he could have me deported anytime he wants. Okay, well, fine. I made a promise. I kept trying, and it got worse. I endured months of emotional insults, threats, cursing, and everything else short of him actually laying hands on me. 6 months later, he randomly disappeared for 2 weeks to visit Seattle without mentioning it to me. I left. I started over with nothing much to my name but a job and a bit of money, thousands of kilometers away from anyone I knew. He expected me to run home. I didn't falter, I blossomed. About a year later, I met my present partner, who's been the truest and most loyal partner I've ever wished for. Truly, if I had to do it all again, I would if I knew my partner would be on the other side. Now, for my revenge. I happened to find out that he had a new girlfriend that seemed very serious, and noticed that he had mentioned wedding planning on social media. Now she's welcome to him. The only issue is, due to divorce laws in my current country, we were not divorced yet, and he planned on marrying her in another country. When we met, he told me he'd never been married. I later found out that he was indeed divorced. I was willing to bet that he fed her the same exact lie. So I sent her a message, and my suspicions were confirmed. He told her he had never been married. I was wife number 2. She didn't want to believe it until I sent her a photo of our marriage license as well as a few wedding photos. I did feel really bad about doing that to her because I could tell how hurt she was, but I knew it was better for her to know the truth than to marry him the next month in Seattle as they'd planned. She has children. She and I actually ended the conversation on a positive note, with her thanking me and me apologizing and explaining why I felt I had to tell her. And then the fallout. My phone started blowing up. Unknown number. In the evening. I wonder who that might be. I was out enjoying a lovely dinner with my partner, and I answered the call on speaker. In came the usual threats to my person and security, blah blah blah, and I could only laugh. He did not know where I was, nor was he getting past my partner, who I know could more than protect me from that insecure little man. I could finally relax, knowing I was safe, after months of night terrors. And then we all heard it. On the phone, he screams, "I've lost the love of my life because of you. She's left me and thrown all of my things out of her home." I, along with other people around me, lost it. I could not stop laughing. It was poetic. He sent a similar email to my mother, laced with blatant lies about me. After I finished laughing, I hung up on him and had my number changed, and then I remembered his sister was living at the same home. His sister has a disabled daughter that lives 200 kilometers away that she claims benefits for, including an apartment and money allowances. She then sublets the handicap-accessible apartment to her boyfriend illegally while leeching off of the father. My ex and his sister absolutely despise each other and are only both living there in hopes of driving the other one out in order to get the house as inheritance. Now, if she got reported to the council for fraud, they'd have to do an investigation. They'd see that she was falsely claiming benefits for an adult daughter who lived far away and had her own benefits from another council. She would lose her apartment and possibly face jail time. If she lost her apartment, it was certain that she would never leave the father's home. It was my husband's worst nightmare. So, I made it happen. The thought of them both being stuck in the same house, fighting all day and night, both too lazy to leave and too stubborn to give up the inheritance that they fantasize about, that's a lovely thought to me. And what makes it better is knowing that he cried his eyes out over the lost fiancé in that very same house, soaking in his miserable existence. And that's it for today's episode of r/NuclearRevenge. Let me know if you thought these stories deserved a nuclear badge or not. If you aren't subscribed, hit that subscribe button and make sure you turn on notifications so you don't miss future nuclear revenge stories. See you guys in the next one.